Hey guys, Robert and Ingrid here, and wow, we're going back to Gamera. I didn't think we would be coming back to Gamera after we were done with the comics, but then they announced the series, and at
What
first,
did I say? But we called it.
yep, but it went different than we wanted. We would have gone.
It went differently than what we have originally predicted, but it's not bad. In fact, it's very, very good.
This is basically what. Here's how I like to put it. This is what hindsight would have been if they didn't give the creator carte blanche. If they said this has to be truer to the Showa, this is what we would have gotten.
Yeah.
Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing because I can definitely feel the spirits of all of the previous eras of Gamera in this.
Yeah, but have you noticed that seems to have been happening more lately where you're having more people? I'm not saying they're dumping on the high side era, but at the same time, it's like they want to do Showa right.
And it's like, I can't fault them for that because there were definitely a lot of production issues back in the day. I mean, I don't think you need to go over the whole song and dance with Gamera Super Monster again.
Oh, no.
And all the stock footage.
Oh, God. Also, and speaking of which, I'll just say is right now the animation, monsters, top notch. Humans, aside from those main kids, would you agree with that?
I understand where you're coming from with that, but I feel like, yeah, the monster animations was a lot more important to get right, so I can forgive a little bit of rough edges in other parts, because they clearly focused on what counted.
Exactly, but before we go further, we have an apology to give.
Oh, yes, a very big apology.
To Shita, the guy who worked on the Godzilla anime trilogy, we're sorry. I don't know if you understand English. But yeah, we are so sorry for trashing you.
Yeah, we had no idea, but now that we've seen this, we know that it wasn't your fault that they wound up that bad. He was just trying to salvage some really bad instructions from Toho.
Basically, I don't know what the instructions were, but my guess was make Godzilla super huge. Make it the biggest ever so America can never top us. And
but yeah, we have Gamera back to farm in the Reiwa era, and it is great.
Definitely. In the Reiwa era, this is a pure masterpiece of it. And as you can see here, we got kids, but
these are some of the best kids we've ever had because they decide to focus on a whole group of them having their summer vacation, which is just like, all right, then that's immediately a very strong start because we, of course, know that Gamera is a protector of children, but this sort of felt a whole lot more genuine to me than some of the other stuff because we got to spend a lot more time with them.
But best of all, though, you had to be that, yes, they're kids, but they're not the uberness of sweetness and pure good and Gamera, no.
These kids definitely feel like real kids, like
the Brave.
I feel
like the Brave, wouldn't you say?
Yes, very much along the lines of the kids in Gamera the Brave. I feel like, well, he wasn't necessarily my favorite. I think that the clearly American guy, Dylan, was initially introduced as like a bully to the kids, and he was saying a whole lot of stuff that basically seemed to be random diplomatic history, and then you find out, hey, his dad is a general from America. Of course he would know stuff like that. He probably overheard his dad talking about it. It was just trying to be cool. But then when they're kind of stuck in with the kids later on, when we first see, of course they would use Gauss first, because that's sort of the classic iconic Gamera monster. You sort of see him develop a whole lot, and it's just like the kids curse a little bit too, but it's like
especially towards the end.
Yeah, it's just like one of them came from a fairly rough home life, and the other one, like I said, is the son of a military general. I'm not surprised they would pick up that kind of language and use that.
And by the way, it's Brody, not Dylan. It's Brody.
Oh, Brody. Right. I got the names a little bit mixed up there, but you know what I meant.
Yep, I know. You have Boco, Joe, Junichi, and Brody. And those of you who've been around, it's so obvious which one's Ingrid's favorite.
It's Junichi. It's the gal with glasses, although it took me a while to realize that Junichi was a girl, which is...
Brody did the same thing!
He did do the same thing, which is exactly why I found his confusion so believable.
Oh, this is like girl. Wait, what'd you say? Wait, she's a girl? And he starts looking. He's like, oh, I just love that.
But yeah, it's just like they're showing what looks like a very real vision of childhood joy and rough edges and all.
I would say no, they didn't go anywhere with that teasing romance stuff. It just got dropped after a joke or so. Oh yeah, them fighting the turtle. That, I gotta ask, do you think that was Gamera, or do you think that was just a turtle?
I feel like it doesn't really matter either way, because it definitely sets up stuff for happening later.
Right, but yeah, basically the start of this, it's the summer, and summer's coming up, and Boco or Hiroki, but yeah, Boco, it's going to be moving, and his mother. I gotta say, the last episode salvaged his mother. I hated his mother until that last episode.
It's not hard to see why.
She is basically like, you don't need friends, you should be learning, studying. I'm like, oh no, not the stereotype.
Yeah.
Especially when it's just like, lady, you do know what these kids have done for your friends, right? But done with this, but yeah, so they're trying to save up money so they can buy basically a receiver and walkie-talkies and everything. A transmitter. But Brody being the bully, and I hated him in the first episode.
Yeah, they definitely set him up as very hateable initially.
The hate sink.
Yeah, the hate sink, but they do interesting things with him from there.
Yeah, they salvage it afterwards. But yeah, originally you just hate him because he is beyond the boy. Like, hey, you want to fight? Come on! But then, and we're also introduced to the heads of this, or the representative of the foundation, James Tazaki and Emiko. And yeah, they come off straight laced. Emiko comes off as this big. She comes like off this cuteness of sweetness.
She feels like the cool aunt.
Yep. Also, we're introduced to a commander and a major and everything. And I like them, and we didn't see them much, but I was wondering, like, why are we focusing on these people? And then we got our answer in the final episode. I mean, did you feel the same way?
I feel like it was initially for setting up kind of the background of the background, and in that context, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we're sort of like setting the stage with characters like these.
Exactly. But then Gauss is the first one, and I gotta say, as redesigns go, I'm split on it. I'm split on Gauss's redesign. Where did you stand?
I guess I thought it worked fine enough, and I didn't really think too much about it. It's like, yep, that's a Gauss, all right.
Yeah, but I think it's too skinny.
I can see where you're going with that.
It's way too skinny. That's what it looks like. It's not. It looks just right in the head and the wings, but the body, it looks like a person. It almost looks like a person trying to wear the suit. But not in the right way. It looks like, what I mean, like a form-fitting bodysuit.
Okay.
But then Gamera, we get Gamera's roar back.
Oh yeah, that was just oh yeah, we're back, baby.
Yep. Oh, and them going through all the Sega stuff. I'm like, boy, I wonder who did sponsoring. But yeah, they're running, and oh, there he is. And I love it. You can see his eyes. It's a perfect blend of Showa and Heisei, wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
that is a very good Gamera right there.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to show too much, but yeah, seriously, them dealing with him, and this is the most powerful he's been. Even Heisei wasn't this powerful.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's the general and everything. That's Brody's dad. Oh boy, again, just there's so much to like about here.
Yes, it's like, oh yeah, this is a classic Gamera. Gamera. We're in for something good.
Okay, and there's James and Emiko, and just by looking at them and with the acting, you can tell straight laced, and again, you think she's the big sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they bring in all these kids who, as we later find out, any kid who's seen a kaiju is marked.
Mm-hmm.
And that explains why they are being they go after them.
Mm-hmm.
And then next we get my least favorite of the rehandling. Not the design. The design was good.
Yeah, let's just say, yeah, Jiger definitely got the worst treatment of all of the ones, and definitely.
He was made generic. He was made generic.
Yeah, it's like Jiger had this like really unique presence in the original outing, and now it's just kind of like, I feel like Baragon would have fit better here, honestly.
Yeah, because Jiger here was just stomping around, just like again, like, and now I did love this move, the wrestling move.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
The wrestling move was great. The animation on all this is great. It just, again, the fact you can keep seeing Gamera's eyes, I love.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, Brody trying to tell his dad to shoot that. Don't shoot the turtle. Shoot the lizard.
Yeah.
Now his dad does listen to him, and then he slaps him. Yeah. I wanted to punch his dad for that.
Yeah.
I just realized this is clear case of them trying to take 2D animation and overlay it on a 3D model. Which is why it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
It depends on the design, and there are times I keep forgetting the animation is like. Have you noticed that with sometimes the mouse movement kind of acts like they're missing a few frames? Like, oh, there's the slap. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that look like they're missing a few frames? But again, it still works. Oh, there's his mom. Again, his mom annoyed the hell out of me. But them going on the ship and everything, basically we look at it as all 6 episodes can be split into 3 parts, or 3 acts.
Yeah.
This is all part of the introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the next one, where it's Jiger, and was Zigra, which Zigra I'm torn on.
Yeah, it's like I really liked the hammy presence of the original Zigra a whole lot. That was definitely a large part of the charm. But this one definitely had a more epic conclusion.
And it had a brain.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but then we also open up with this boat being attacked, and we basically find out all the other kids that were in the city that had seen, they go by the name Kaijus. I love that they actually go and we call them Kaijus.
Yeah, it felt a lot more organic because it's just like, well, we already have a cultural concept of this kind of thing, so let's just use that name and not get too complicated about it.
Yep. And basically, basically all of them are killed off by Zigra. It's like, well, that's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't it feel that way? Like, well, that's convenient. They just killed off all these other kids off screen.
Yeah, narrative efficiency. Maybe almost a bit too efficient.
Yep, but we have Emiko becoming good friends with Junichi.
Mm-hmm.
And I like stuff like that. we have and Tazaki being more of a goof, as he's like, I don't like tight spaces, oh, this and that. We're introduced to the captain and everything as Zigra's coming up. Zigra was, again, so well handled. I mean, aside from the lack of intelligence, that's why I was torn. He has a brain. He has more of a brain than Jiger did.
But yeah, you just can't get over how absolutely hammy and over the top the original Zigra was.
Yeah. Now, I did love Junichi coming up with the big plan of what to do. But yeah, and at first I liked the captain here at first. Later on, I hate him. Was that the same way for you?
I guess he didn't register too much in my brain either way.
All right. But then of course but of course at least again every time they do a Gamera keeps coming to help them. I'll be honest, I kept thinking that was a Gauss at first.
I mean, I can see where you'd be coming from with that.
That looks closer to a Gauss, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Zigrod was still very good, very fast. Went down pretty easily. That's all I say. I know. It's a lot of these fights, they go down easily. Uh-oh. And then after this one, we would get to Garen. Best redesign! Best redesign!
Yeah, Garen was awesome in this one.
They took the
I really love how aerodynamic they made Garen this time around and made that taking advantage of the anatomy, his actual anatomy of the giant blade head, a lot better by jumping and flipping around so that the momentum would allow it to inflict more damage, and it made for some really interesting watching.
Also, I gotta say, did it feel a little off that Joe turned around and was starting to be all like, oh, I don't trust him? Did it feel like it came out of nowhere a little? I mean, before they went down, and saw Virus. We'll get to him. But didn't it feel a little off that he just switched from trusting him to...
I feel like it sort of fit with his general cynical personality up until that point, at least from where I was coming from, where it's just like, things are really starting to go south with this. Maybe this wasn't so great after all.
True, that's true. I mean, but once they saw Virus, then I understood. But yeah, then we find out how Boco and Joe met. Gotta go, Joe! Yeah, basically he helped save him from a bully, but after he did it, he beat himself because, and then he was there like, well, why didn't you go and ambassador before you come sit? You came to beat up the guy. Yeah, and then again, so much of this was fun. But yeah, like I said, then we have Tazaki. We find out just wants to go to the moon.
Which going to and from the moon and doing stuff on the moon is a bit more established in this universe.
Actually, and the fact that should have opened my eyes that this isn't in any point of our current day. That should have opened my eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just like, that's a pretty significant technological development.
And yet you're like, wait, we didn't go back and forth with the moon. Oh, here we go. Look. Oh! That was awesome. And his fight with Gamera ends up leading to him chopping off Gamera's arm. And did you know that what ended up being the shurikens in the Showa, turned out they meant it to be the railgun.
Oh!
That was always the plan, so they're fulfilling what they originally wanted to do with him.
Oh, that's incredible.
Right there, wham, wham. But they still kept it looking like the shurikens as a nod.
Yeah.
But that is awesome. The fact that they thought about using it like a railgun right back then, I'm like, wait, did they have railguns back then?
Yeah.
Oh, and oh,
Oh.
oh, and kid feels it. So basically, this is what the first time they made it clear the bond was pretty much like the high side bond.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, suddenly
Yeah.
that explains so much. That explains why he knew that Gamera's name was Gamera and why he could sort of had a lot of faith in him before the others did.
Oh,
It just clicked.
and we get Buzzsaw Gamera. I never
Oh,
thought they would use
yeah.
this like a buzzsaw. I never thought they would do that. Did you?
No, but it was freaking amazing.
Yep. And hold on, let's get to it. Oh wait. Oh!
Dissected! Bisected!
Yeah. Fatality!
Yeah!
That was awesome. But then we end with them finding this mineral they've been collecting. How do you say it? Oscillium.
Something like that.
And they get this vision and everything. And then we get to where everything just turns on its head.
Mm-hmm.
Where we find out Emiko has been bullshitting everyone.
Yeah.
It was all bullshit. And it turns out, but that's the thing that kind of confuses me. Her acting this way in front of the kids is one thing, but her also acting the same way in front of Tazaki and then changing it on a dime, and yet he acknowledges the weird stuff she's saying. He doesn't acknowledge Helium, but he doesn't acknowledge that her personality has changed. That I find like, wait, why is he not confused then? You know what I'm saying? Well, what did you think about the switch?
I thought it was a really interesting twist, and I certainly didn't see it coming, but I feel like it makes sense to me in retrospect because it's just like, okay, maybe it seemed a little bit too nice just kind of looking back on it. I think what really sold me on it is the fact that she pushed so hard talking to the parents and trying to get them to agree to getting the kids on board, since obviously this is something that would be really dangerous otherwise. And it's just like, why would you go through so much effort without something to gain for it? Like,
and then we also find out Earth is much older.
And we have people from the ancient past who engineered the kaiju. Ooh, we've got that sort of callback to Heisei lore coming back.
Yep. Now it turned out she's descended from those people. She's not, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just like her aunt, who it turns out her aunt killed Emiko's mother so she can take over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about revenge. But we also find out Virus. Let's be honest, Virus was the closest to ever being anything like Iris or Legion.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did they give him an upgrade in his presence. But I gotta say, once he's brought to life, I don't know. I felt like the build-up was more dramatic than him in play. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I mean, one of my theories before we got the reveal is that, oh, Virus has already taken over somebody in the facility and has a mole in there somewhere, since they know that was something that they did in the Showa era, but didn't really expand too much upon, and that's why there was so much weirdness around him, like not being quite dead, even quite dormant, even though he should have been and stuff.
Yeah, but it feels like once he gets out, like I can see some of the weapons, his attacks and everything. I can see how devastating it is. But at the same time, it felt like, what makes it feel like him stand up from the other kaiju? Aside from the fact they had to feed him. Which that terrified me. I'm like, oh shit, they fed kids?
Yeah.
That's the other thing we find out. Turns out Boco is the one with the special, unique gene.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of it was if Beerus eats him, they want to control Virus.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which then they
Gamera,
can do to enact a cleansing of the earth, which I mean, that's pretty standard fare for a lot of kaiju aliens and ancient people at this point.
yep. And I gotta say, but yeah, and then but then they also they try to get out of there on a shuttle. It was supposed to take out to the moon, but then things go wrong and they're stuck on there. So they're trying to get out of there with a shuttle, an escape pod, and it turns out it's stuck. So Joe has to sacrifice himself.
That scene was really heartbreaking, and now, I understand why they set up his friendship with Boco so much now.
Yeah, and everyone else, but especially Boco. And he says, like, remember, don't stop trying to ride a bike.
Yeah, it's just,
but then Gamera kills off Virus a bit easily, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Especially when since Gamera was in a weakened state.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I feel like, really? Virus was built all this up and then shrink! He gets the same treatment that Giran did. But then they believe in Gamera saved them.
Mm-hmm.
And is dying. Thus, that leads into the final episode where we get, what do we get? Wait, they take a page from hindsight and we get S. Gauss.
Yes.
Oh, and I gotta say, Emiko got what she deserved.
Oh yeah, big time.
Almost exactly like my aunt. Oh, and yeah.
Yep.
He later spits up her ring, making it very clear he ate her. He ate her entirely. And I'm just like, I think that's the other reason why they went as far as they did with her, so you didn't feel bad for her then.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I gotta say though, Tazaki, I don't care for Tazaki. I think he's too self-centered.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming with that.
And where do you stand with him?
I feel like he has his own personal issues to work out, big time.
Yep. Although I will say I did love the ending with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have this other Gauss that was already slightly modified, eating the Virus remains.
Mm-hmm.
And Emiko. And then with Tazaki's help, they're able to get all the help they can to come over and help save Gamera. They even get some of these scientists who are introduced very late, but I like them.
Yeah, they're very good.
This reminded me so much Showa era where they actually got the science pretty well.
Oh, yes.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back when they would actually talk about this detailed science and everything, and I liked it. Oh, him trying to talk to Joe.
Yeah, that was really, really sad, but also very, very believable.
Yep. And then the kids remember from their visions something that could help him, and it turns out it could work. All the while, what do you think about S. Gauss not being able to fly because he's so fat? I think they were trying to make it different.
Yeah, they probably were trying to make it different.
Yeah, because look at him. He's just so fat. I love how he's trying to fly, and he's like, nope.
I mean, this is generally a lot more serious and a lot more mature from some of the other Gamera stuff, but there are still those silly moments in there.
Exactly. And I love also you have all the military there to show up and help. At least the Japanese military at first.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job.
They do.
And turns out the major and the commander are helping out as much as they can. And then once Gauss gets there, Boco is ready to try and get him like, come at me, come at me.
Mm-hmm.
And leading to a big fight and everything. And it turns out also the American military show up because why? Boco's mom basically tells Brody's dad to like, what's more important, your kid or being court-martialed?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I started to like her. I'm like, okay, now I like her.
Okay, you can kind of tell it's just like, okay, really tough love.
Exactly. And then but yeah, and then it turns out he was uploading all this the RNA virus to try and reset his program. But it then turns out and Gamera's able to power through it with his willpower. So he ends up shooting a big beam up at the Foundation. What I thought it was hilarious how they're like, oh, we are winning. Yep, we're winning. Whoosh!
Yeah, that was great.
Yep, right. Yep, right here. They think like, oh, I guess we're winning. We won. Oh my god, come on. Right there! They were just that arrogant. They were that smug, like, oh, we're winning. Whoosh!
That was hilarious, awesome, and also very karmically fitting.
Yep. But so yeah, everything is fine to adjust and everything. And yeah, and it's just me, or did that look like Toto?
Yes, it did! And then you have the classic Gamera theme coming in the credits. Oh!
He looks just like Toto! Just like Toto!
It's just like, oh my gosh, that was the best way they could have ended it.
See, look at him!
It's getting a tiny Gamera!
Yeah, but seriously, he is the perfect epitome of Toto right there!
Oh, just look at him, he's so cute!
It's the eyes! It's Toto's eyes that do it!
Yeah!
Very different from Gamera's eyes. Now, what did you think about James becoming Steve Jobs?
I don't have much to say about it either way.
I laughed though once it was real. There was a cell phone. I was like, he's Steve Jobs! Then it turns out Boco lived. Oh.
Joe lived, you mean? And I feel like...
I think he got in the other escape pod.
Yeah, and it's just, it took a while for his communicator to come back on the network. It's just like, felt like he would have, I sort of felt like after that he would have actually lived.
Yep, but you want, because remember, there was another escape pod that Brody said it doesn't work. I guess I have a feeling it did work.
Uh-huh, he just didn't know how to operate it.
Exactly, and I guess Joe was able to get out in that one, because you don't set up a secondary one without planning on using it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, overall, this is what we were almost along the lines of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do if we had our hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely something in the same vein, even if we have our own gripes about the execution and specific bits. Overall, it's really solid. Gamera's finally back, baby.
Definitely. Gamera is definitely finally back. And again, this felt like the perfect balance. More than even the Brave, this felt like a perfect balance in all ways.
Mm-hmm.
Between Showa and Heisei.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to see more of this.
I would too. And they set it up for a sequel.
They did.
So yeah, I really hope we get a good sequel.
Mm-hmm. We can perhaps see more of our favorites back from both the Showa and the Heisei era.
Yep. And again, this makes up for the Godzilla trilogy.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, thank God, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. At least this director wasn't as bad as I thought he was.
I mean, I already knew he was a decent director. I just thought it was a case where he was just letting his deconstructing habits get the better of him, but nope. So yeah, though, I mean, I give this a 9 out of 10.
I feel like it's a 9 out of 10 too. It's just like we had the spirit of Gamera back in the Reiwa era, and where everything feels like it's looking up.
Yep. Now, if I was to rank each of the redesign, I would definitely say Garen number 1. Garen number 1.
Garen absolutely got the best glow up here. No questions asked.
Virus got what he should have happened. But here's what I say about Virus. Virus is basically what Virus should have been if he wasn't stuck to so much stock footage.
Yeah, it's just like that was one of the main things that was dragging that whole thing down was the budget.
The budget, yeah, because people, we both agreed even when we watched it. Virus was a great monster.
It just was stuck in absolutely awful conditions.
Exactly. Then I would go. Oh, and also, what do you think about Virus's about Garen's mouth?
Ooh,
That was like, oh, that's creepy. Then
that's very creepy.
Then I would go Gauss. Then Zigra, and then Jiger. As far as of course, Gamera's number one. But I'm talking about as far as the villains.
Yeah, Gamera's redesign is absolutely great.
Now, I was saying Zigra and Jiger's design was good, but his
actual execution, I feel like Baragon would have worked better in that spot.
At least you'd have rainbows.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing, though. How do they follow up on this? They bring in the Heisei monsters next?
I feel like if I were writing this, and maybe my bias is speaking, is that they kind of detect that there's some weirdness going on from space, and then they kind of set up sort of Legion and Iris as sort of the finale antagonists for another season.
Yeah. But still, though, overall, this is what and again, this is what we've been wanting. This is what we've been wanting for so long. And the fact that the guy who created the Heisei, he gave his thumbs up, that gave me so much hope for this. And I'm glad to see he wasn't just saying that for just paid to say it.
Yeah, no, we totally understand. This feels so much like Gamera.
It does. And like I said, it feels like what Heisei should and could have been if he wasn't given free reign. And okay, I already know that your favorite kid was Junichi, but what did you think about the other kids?
Yeah, I thought that Brody's character arc in particular was really good. Just with how they initially set him up and how he eventually developed over the course of the season.
Definitely. I thought I'll be honest, I actually prefer Junichi and Brody over Joe and Boco. Not that I didn't like them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. And I feel like there should be more of a development in their relationship if we see this go another season.
Exactly. But
like we have the Brains and the Brawn duo. That would be pretty great.
I know, because Brody, we had his character growth. And Junichi was just this interesting character in general. But Boco and Joe was seasick for 2 of the episodes.
Yeah.
That felt like cute, but you didn't do much of them. And then when we saw him again, he was being a jerk. And Boco felt like the stereotypical Gamera kid. Still handled better than most. In fact, let me double check with the kid. I want to make sure I get the right kid this time. What was the kid? Not Baragon, in Gauss. That was always our favorite of the kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they don't say it on here. Come on, there has like characters. Come on. They don't mention. They only mention Heisei and the Brave.
Oh.
Was it Toshi, I think?
I think it was either that or Ichi.
Ichi, Ichi,
yeah.
Ichi. Toshi was the first kid.
Yeah.
The dumb as a bag of hammers. But Ichi. This is right up. He's right. He's more like Ichi in that regard. Would you agree?
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad character per se. I just think that other characters around him happen to be stronger.
Yeah, and even when he finally had the lead in the final episode, it felt standard compared to the others. But yeah, but and I think once you got rid of Joe, you lost that dynamic. Rather than him being able to stand on his own, you almost felt like, where's Joe?
Uh-huh.
Was that a good way of putting it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all we got to say on Gamera and Gamera Rebirth. It's so great to come back to this after all this time.
Yeah.
And hey, the fact that Gamera beat out Godzilla on this one. And I just realized we gotta go and do Skull Island soon.
Oh yeah.
So we can go back to our Contraspective.
Hmm.
Cause that is, you know that's on Netflix, right? Skull Island?
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you guys on that one. Take care.
Bye.